Cleveland Guardians took 3 of 4 from the Baltimore Orioles, and for the second straight series, they could have had a sweep. How you feel about that depends entirely on your perspective. Let's get some now on today's Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome on into another episode of Locked On Guardians, your only daily Cleveland Guardians podcast covering the team from the majors, the minors, the draft, and everything in between. You'll notice if you're watching on YouTube, I'm not in my normal setting right now. And unfortunately, Jeff is also not here. But the show goes on. We hope Jeff gets better after he covered for me for an illness last week. We deliver daily no matter what. The show goes on because we're here for you every day. And we got to talk about this team who continues to, I would say, impress. I know a lot of people say they're frustrating at times, but they're in first place and they're doing a lot of really good things. On today's show, we'll talk about the Guardians establishing a familiar identity, and they could be even better than they have been so far. Depends on how you want to look at it. We'll get into some of the hitters who might have been wrong about, who else is stepping up to help out José Ramírez and José Ramírez himself. And later in the show, that no-hitter you wanted, it happened. We're going to talk about that. Before we get into all that today, the episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200, $50 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. And of course, I'm Justin Lada here, who thank you for all your kind wishes and your well wishes and your great words last week, helping me get healthy. I'm still trying to battle the voice back a little bit, but doing pretty good so far, I would say. And I'm excited to get back and talk about the Guardians and give Jeff a little bit of a breather as he recovers. So give him all those well wishes to get him good soon here. All right, let's talk about the Guardians winning 3 of 4 against the Baltimore Orioles. They've really navigated a really tough early season schedule. I know we've talked about it before. I know the Cardinals and the Orioles are not exactly the tough part of that schedule, right? We saw what they did against the Mariners, the Dodgers, the Cubs, the tougher teams. They obviously ran into some struggles in Atlanta. No surprise, because Atlanta's really good. But the nice thing about, stubbing your toe against the Cardinals, and even the one Cleveland should have won on Friday against Baltimore, this could have been a sweep. We could be talking about a 7-game winning streak right now, really. If the bullpen holds up its end of the bargain, you could say, well, you beat the good team, so that gives you a little bit of cushion. Say, if you do, stub your toe against the bad team, at least you played well against the good teams and you gave yourself one of the two. Because it's always those series you think like, oh, Baltimore, St. Louis, whatever, they should do fine. Like, those are not good teams. And they took 3 or 4 from Baltimore. And let me tell you, taking 3 or 4 is never easy. It's always a hard thing to do. And obviously the St. Louis series, super frustrating. They've got a decent lineup, but the bullpen really didn't live up to its potential in that series. So you can say this team should be better than they are, and they're playing pretty well as it is, and that's a good sign, because if you think the pen gets tightened up, defense gets tightened up, you get a little bit of health, you get some other pieces offensively up and going, you get really excited, and that's glass half full, right? Or, are you always going to have the bullpen inconsistencies? Is the defense going to continue to be a problem? And will there be some starting pitching blow-ups as well? So you can look at it glass half full and say, well, maybe they'll always be this team. And we have to figure out what they're going to be from those aspects. But winning 3 or 4 from any team is always difficult, no matter where you play. Usually you want to go for a split. I think 3 or 4 is really good. You had great starting pitching in this series. And that's the identity the Guardians are getting back to this year, is the starting pitching. We haven't really seen that level from them in a couple of years now, not really since the factory days of the Klubers and the Carrascos and the Salazars and Josh Tomlin and Clevenger and whatnot. I don't know if any of these guys are as good as Corey Kluber. I don't know if any of them are as good as Carlos Carrasco. I certainly think a couple of them are as good as Carrasco. Kluber, 2-time Cy Young winner. Very hard to compare that to anybody, really. That's unfair. But you're seeing this team get back to starting pitching. You have a chance to win almost every night, almost every series. Like, you go into even a 3 or 4 game series and you think, okay, you feel pretty good that 2 of our 3 or of our 4 are going to be good in the series enough to give us a win. And that's what's been happening. Parker Messick, Tanner Bibee, Gavin Williams, Joey Cantillo all gave you a chance to win this series, and you did, and you could have swept them. Same in St. Louis. Each starting pitcher gave them a chance to win in that series. And I know Slade Ciccone ran into some bumps. We'll talk about that a little bit. But when you're starting pitching, when you figure, okay, you're not going to sweep every series, but if you have 2 of your 3 starting pitchers, or 3 of the 4 in this case, give you a chance to win on 3 of the 4 nights, you're going to be a really good team. As long as your bullpen doesn't have continued hiccups and you get some other guys stepping up offensively. I thought Joey Cantillo on Sunday showed a ton of growth. Like, he didn't look good control-wise early on. He was bouncing a lot of pitches. He gave up a hit, a walk right away, and Austin Hedges went out and talked to him, calmed him down. They got a double play. He got some strikeouts. The changeup was back on. It was great. I thought Joey Cantillo overcame some struggles in that first couple innings that in the past he would have probably broken down. I think a little bit of maturity, experience, the addition of the slider has really helped him a ton. And Austin Hedges, obviously they're 8-0 and he catches. He should be catching more. We'll talk about Bo Naylor in a little bit. And obviously I realize, the Orioles aren't the best lineup. Like, Jonathan Rodriguez is hitting 4th. We can laugh at that because the Guardians were there not too long ago, right? He was hitting cleanup in the playoffs. And that's just terrifyingly bad for any team, especially a team that drafted and developed a ton of hitters like Baltimore, who they have a lot of injuries, but a lot of guys who haven't come through either. Cade Smith was perfect Saturday, 3 strikeouts. The splitter looked back, so that was great. Looked like Cade Smith again. I was never worried about Cade Smith. I was worried about command and mechanics, not mentality. And on Sunday, you used Festa for 1 out. Great. Peyton Pallette came back, did really good in 2 innings. Sean Armstrong bounced back. Gaddis was good on Friday, get the home run Saturday. But between Parker, Gavin, Joey, and Tanner, and then I still think Slade's kind of searching, but you're not going to win every 3 games. You're not going to always win 4. But if you win 2 or 3 and 3 or 4 like this, and you have 3, 4 pitchers in that rotation that are going through each series, your starting pitcher gives you a chance to win. You're going to take that, and you're going to win 85, 86 games, especially when you have José Ramírez. You get the bullpen straightened out, a couple other hitters, you figure the defense out. That's going to get you through a lot of different things. And that's what this team was so good at the last time they went on this kind of run from 2016 to 2018 and even 2019 when they won 93 games and made the playoffs. Did you know that 2 times in the last, I want to say 20 years? Yeah, 20. We'll go 21 years. Cleveland won 93 games in 05. They won 93 games in 2019, did not make the playoffs until the expansion of the extra wild cards. No team in baseball had won 93 games and not made the Major League Baseball playoffs by winning 93 games, except your Cleveland Indians Guardians. So 2 years in a row, 2 years in their franchise history, they won 93 games. And you can go back to, I want to say they won 90-something in 99 too and didn't make the playoffs. Obviously, we know the pitching was pretty bunk back then, but they were a great offense. Guardians, they're not a great offense right now, but they're good enough. You're getting enough offensively. Different guys are stepping up, which is what we're going to talk about next. But when you're starting pitching, like you figure, okay, this upcoming series, the Astros, for example, you have Slade Ciccone. You don't know how you feel about him, right? It's a little bit iffy right now. But then you get Parker Messick, who's on a roll. You get Tanner Bibee, who's bouncing back. You figure, okay, we have a chance to win 2 of those 3 games. You might say, well, the Messick and the Bibee game are the games we should win, right? And you might win the Slade game. That's how this team rolls. That's how baseball goes sometimes as well. But you figure, okay, we have a chance to win 2 of those 3 games coming up, just like you did against Baltimore, who obviously isn't as good. But when your pitching shows up like that, you can win any series. You just got to have the other facets there. You have to have the bullpen tighten things up, which they mostly did Saturday and Sunday. And the offense, you get guys at the bottom of the order stepping up on Saturday, and you have José Ramírez being José Ramírez on Sunday because it doesn't have to be José Ramírez every day, even though he wants to be. That's how you win 3 or 4. Your starting pitching goes out in that series, and you figure, okay, we're going to win 2 or 3. We're going to have a chance to win 2 or 3. We're going to have a chance to win 3 or 4 because of this rotation. We just get enough offense. Jose, a couple other guys help him out. We get this bullpen figured out. Things are going to be pretty good. So you can say, yeah, maybe this team should have won 7 in a row. I think they should have if you figure Cade Smith and Eric Sabrowski was great Sunday too. Eric Sabrowski is who he normally has been. And Cade Smith, this team might have won 7 games in a row right now. We'd be talking about all kinds of crazy things, in addition to being the only team until the Rockies that beat the Dodgers in a series this year, which go figure, right? And then you took 2 or 4 from the Mariners, and you took 2 or 3 from the Cubs. Like, those are all good things. You live with the Atlanta stuff. We could be talking about a lot of epic things. And you could say, like, oh, I wish they were better. I hope they get those games back in September. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But I think you can live with those things. And I think you could say, As long as the starting pitching gives you this level of effort every 2 out of 3 games, every 3 out of 4 games, things are going to look pretty good. As long as the other guys step up offensively in the bullpen, which we're going to talk about coming up next, including José Ramírez, who helped out his own cause on Sunday. The NBA playoffs are here. Every possession matters. Every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a series. If you're a new customer right now, FanDuel is giving you a great way to get in on the action. What's really easy to like about FanDuel is you can just bet $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. The app makes it really easy to follow stats, plug in your numbers and what you're looking for as far as a parlay or any sort of bet. Really easy to follow along, to be honest with you. It makes the entire playoff experience more engaging, fun to follow, and baseball too. Cavs, they're giving 8.5 points to the Raptors. I think you have to like that after how things went for them in game 1. Guardians, even though they're rolling right now, and the Astros starting pitching is a mess, the Astros starting or hitting is really good, and the Guardians are getting 1.5 runs from the Astros for Monday's game. So might play that one a little bit, but also might play the over because the Astros offense is really good. Head over to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. Appreciate you always hanging out with us here on Locked On Guardians. I want to make sure you don't forget to check out the Everydayer Club. It is coming alive, to be honest with you. You get ad-free episodes with the Everydayer Club. You get access to the group chat with me and Jeff and other listeners in the show. We have a normal thread going on where actually I was discussing some of my health issues. Someone was curious because they have been going through similar things. So we were comparing notes. So that was fun. And then we have the game day thread where we talk about the game that going on that day in the specific thread. So there's different threads. We have an Ask Me Anything thread too. You can ask the show host or each other in that thread. There's a lot of things to do with the Everydayer Club. So tap the link in the show notes. Go to lockedonguardians.supercast.com. And I mean, really shout out to Emily, to Daniel, to Christian, to CJF, Happy 7-6 as of a name on here, Drew. Like these are all the people that are chatting, Kevin on game days with us of everything that's going on. And there's more people in the other side of the chat too. So join on the fun. I love our subtexters. I love our texting group, but the Insider Club, the group chat is also very fun and where it's at. All right. So we have to get into the hitters, right? The starting pitching was definitely the story of the weekend for the Guardians against the Orioles, but it was obviously José Ramírez on Sunday, who, what can you say about José Ramírez other than he's the first guy to 10 home run or 10 steals this year. And now he is, hitting more home runs again. Everything else is going in the right direction for him. You got to love it. And no surprise there, but I think it's the bottom of the order that really didn't get enough love this weekend. I mean, that's what allowed you to win 3 of 4. Obviously, you had the starting pitching, but without Brayan Rocchio's 3-run homer on Saturday, without his 3 hits and 3 RBIs on Sunday, and Bo Naylor's insurance home run on Sunday, none of that happens. And hey, even David Fry found a way to chip in on Sunday, right? 2 hits and a walk. We'll take that. If we can get David Fry going from the right field position, way to go. You loaded the lineup up with your best guys against lefties, Trevor Rogers in the game, who, by the way, Trevor Rogers, not off to the best start in 2026, but he had a great end of 2025. And people were trying to say like, oh, the Orioles fixed him and maybe he's a dark horse Cy Young guy or something. Came into this year a little bit struggling. The Guardians got, 5 runs earned off him, 2 walks, 2 homers, thanks to Jose. You hit a good pitcher. They did just enough to Dean Kramer on Saturday, enough to Trevor Rogers on Sunday. And then on Friday, they did enough too offensively before the bullpen gave it away. And Thursday, you did more than enough to back Parker Messick because he was fantastic. But look, on Thursday, you had the Daniel Steeman grand slam, right? That's another guy who stepped up. Brayan Rocchio twice this weekend stepped up with a homer and 3 RBIs on Sunday. And you also had Bo Naylor with the insurance run on Saturday night. That was huge. And then José Ramírez. You don't have to have José Ramírez be José Ramírez every game. And that doesn't mean Angel Martinez has to be the guy every day with Jose or Stephen Kwan, who's really struggling right now. He got a sac fly. That's great, but he doesn't look like the Stephen Kwan we're used to. And maybe it's because he's playing center field and doing it well, might I add. Maybe it's hurting his offense because normally April and May is his like good offensive months and he struggles the rest of the year until September. So maybe Maybe we'll get a reverse and Steven Kwan is better later in the year offensively once he figures out center field, at least body performance-wise. Not really sure, but like Rhys Hoskins is hitting below 200. Not been great. Drawn some walks. That's good. Daniel Schneemann, Brayan Rocchio, Bo Naylor, other guys, every game. This is why I preached last year too, and it didn't really come to fruition last year, and it may not in 2026 because it's still early, but there's enough pieces here right now that we're seeing that you could have guys, like it could be Angel Martinez one day because he had a big home run in St. Louis, right? Could be Brayan Rocchio. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, there's been people in the Discord chiding me about my Rocchio takes. And look, he's got a 777 OPS. If he hits a 770 OPS the rest of the season, his defense has been great. Base running, we're not going to go there. But if he keeps it up the rest of the year, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to leave the kid at shortstop and I'm going to put him next to Travis Bazzana. And I'm just going to enjoy October between those two because we know we have Rocktober, right? But you can't complain about Rocchio. Like, if I look at the profile on Savant, it's not pretty. Like, yeah, he doesn't strike out. He's drawing walks. He doesn't swing and miss, but he's cut down his chase rate. He's squaring the ball up a little more, which doesn't always work for everybody. There's certain stats that are tracked on StatCast that don't seem to measure up to anything, like launch angle, sweet spot, and squared up. You know, some guys make it work. Some guys don't. Squared up is just usually like the right amount of exit velocity and launch angle, which isn't quite a barrel, I guess. And then launch angle sweet spot is just, even if you don't hit it hard, you're hitting it at the right angle. So you get a hit. He doesn't do that well. Jose does and Kwan does, and that works for them, but not everybody. But Rocchio's doing enough right now to not say anything, not complain. I don't know what his batting average on balls in play is, but I'm going to ignore it because it's working. Bo Naylor is probably the guy we have to talk about, though, that, Jeff and I, when I was sick, I'm going to blame it on being sick, but Thursday we recorded after Parker Messick's just missed no-hitter, and I said, the Guardians keep believing, and I know Zach Meisler wrote about it, that the Bo Naylor breakout's coming, and I said, I don't see anything publicly or with my data or with my eyes that suggests that's coming. Why are they doing this? On Friday, I looked at his Savant page, and if you're watching on YouTube, I have it up there. Everything's red. I mean, expected batting average is 275. Expected slug is 523. If he was doing that for real this year, he'd be their second best hitter. It's incredible. The barrel rate is 84th percentile. The hard hit rate, same. Launch angle sweet spot works for him. He's not chasing. He's not whiffing. And, I know Jeff a while ago talked about those buckets of hitters that work. And how does it work? You can whiff and swing and miss. This is like, why Cleveland was okay with Nolan Jones and Rhys Hoskins, because yeah, they're going to swing and miss, but they're going to hit for power, hopefully. And they're not going to chase bad pitches for the most part. And that's what Bo Naylor's doing. He's cut down his strikeout rate. He's walking, not like, it's not red, on Savant if you're watching on YouTube, but it's fine. It's in a good range. It's better than it has been in the past. And, that big home run on Saturday, I don't know if it can propel him to being a little bit better. I hope it can. And the thing I always want to remind people about expected stats is that they always tell you what could have happened or what likely should have happened based on, previously similar exit velocities and launch angles and all the data they have that suggests, 6 out of 10 times this is a hit or this was a home run. So that's why it, calculates that, he should have had a 600 expected batting average on this hit, but it was lined out or it fell short of the wall because it's cold in Cleveland in April right now. That tells you what could have happened statistically, probability-wise. And I'm not a math major. I understand this, so it makes sense to me. It's not a good predictor. I think we've said this. It's not a good predictor of what would happen in the future. You can't just say, well, he had a 600 expected batting average on that flyout that got knocked down at the wall because it's a little bit colder in Cleveland in the 7th inning than it is in the 2nd inning in April. So the next time out, he'll have a 400 expected batting average hit that will go for a hit. Or, the idea in baseball we want to believe is, well, you hit it hard right at somebody. Next time it'll be a seeing eye single and it'll all even out. We do like to believe that, and sometimes that's true. That's a little narrative based, but that's what expected stats would want you to think. I don't believe they're predictive, so I can't sit here and say, all right, Bo Naylor should be hitting 275 with the 523 slug. I would love that. And yes, I think we can definitely say he's getting unlucky. And the numbers here, when you look at Savant and the underlying data, It's better than Nolan Jones because we were hanging on to Nolan Jones's underlying data all year last year and it never showed up. This is better than Nolan Jones's underlying data last year, I will say, at the very least. But I don't know if it's going to even out. I just don't, because expected stats have not told me or told anybody that, hey, this will eventually come back your way. It'll all work out. It doesn't always go that way. It tells you what likely could have happened based on that previous hit or hits, but it doesn't tell you what is going to even out, what's going to happen. It's not a good future predictor. You can use it in fantasy baseball to like say, okay, this guy's getting unlucky. I'm going to pick him up and see if his luck changes, but there's no guarantees. It's not not good science, as fun as it is to track. But maybe I was wrong on Bo Naylor. Maybe he will turn around. And based on the Savant data, I am going to be more patient with him. Like, I want to see more Austin Hedges, but more for defense. But Bo Naylor's offensive numbers, at least on StatCast and the underlying data, says that he should be doing better. So I think there's a whole lot of reason to stick with him based on that. And obviously the Guardians are smarter than I am. Otherwise I wouldn't be talking to you here. I'd be, in the front office at the corner of Carnegie, Ontario, talking about this or running stuff like this. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here. And if it doesn't work out this year, if it never evens out, then guess what? We find out it doesn't work and the breakout's not coming. But it's hard to ignore the data on this one. All right. We talked about some of the hitting. Let's take a look at the Astros series coming up. At first, that no-hitter you finally wanted, it happened somewhere. We're going to talk about it next. As always, we do appreciate you making Locked On Guardians your first listen today, every day, wherever it is that you get podcasts. And of course, you are the reason Locked On Sports Network is the #1 sports podcast network out there. So couldn't do that without you. I know the network's proud. We're proud. And honestly, I just love, I missed it when I was sick. Like Thursday, I was hoping for the no-hitter and I round up the strength and the energy to be on live with Jeff, even though I wasn't at my best. And honestly, it made me feel better. It really made me feel better to do that, to get my voice out and expend some energy and talk baseball with Jeff and talk baseball with you guys. Cause that's what it's all about. Like, I sit here and I'm in Orlando, Florida right now recording this because I love doing this. And I love the conversation that we have as a group, whether it's on YouTube or Subtext or Discord or anybody I run into at the game, whatever. I love it. So you guys are the really the driving force behind this. So make sure you hit the bell on YouTube if you haven't yet, because you get the reaction videos to all the games and the news sent to your phone, and as well as the episodes when they go live, and especially when we go live when there's like a possible no-hitter. And if you auto download on all your audio platforms, you can listen wherever you go. I listen to a couple podcasts, not this one, but some other ones on the plane ride down to Orlando on Sunday because I downloaded them and I had them in my feed. You can do that too. So you don't even need internet. No excuses. All right. Speaking of no-hitters, I think we got to give some credit to Matt Tugboat Wilson, right? This is a guy, like, he had 17 or was it 16 strikeouts in 2024 at Lynchburg, and we were all excited, and he was the toast of the town because, he looks like an everyman, and it was a great game. And he barely throws above 90, but he looks like one of us, and he pitches very well for in the minors for the Guardians. Hadn't been off to the most strong start in 2026 in AA, but he had a really good World Baseball Classic run with Team Canada, and hard to argue with the results on Sunday. 70 pitches, 5 innings, 6 perfect innings. He didn't hit anybody, he didn't walk anybody, he didn't balk, nothing. Like, he was perfect, and maybe that'll get him going. It hasn't been the smoothest start for him. Like, the ERA is pretty low, but if you look at the FIP, it's been, it could be better right now for Tugboat. It was a 393 FIP coming into the day. It'll probably go down a little bit because he didn't walk anybody and had a strikeout per inning, but hasn't been that pretty. I don't know. Sometimes weird profiles just work, right? Actually, what's funny is I think I have the wrong Matt Wilkinson up on Fangraphs as I read that. So isn't that crazy that there's another Matt Wilkinson who played for the Diamondbacks way back in the day? Let's go with Tugboat over here. 404 FIP, so actually even worse. But the walks haven't been a problem. He has striking guys out. So actually he's off to a really good start in AA. I think the FIP will come down again in his third start here. So we'll see what happens. Sometimes weird profiles work. Like, he doesn't throw hard enough to me to be a starter long term, and I don't believe in the secondaries enough to sit there and say he's the next Parker Messick, but maybe he's like Parker Messick's like Parker Messick light, even though that's I'm not going to make that joke, but like that could be what he is, and you'll take that from him. Like that's pretty good. But either way, a no-hitter is impressive. 5 innings. Matt Jasick behind him, Jay Driver, Magnus Ellerts, who's really interesting, and Jack Carey, who was a minor league Rule 5 pick, finished it out in Akron. So good for them. I can't remember the last time there was a no-hitter in Akron. It's been a while, but good for them down at, I believe it's 717 Credit Park now, not Canal Park anymore. I got it wrong in the preseason, but oh well. But yeah, maybe with the Tugboat thing, maybe it works. Like maybe, Parker Messick throws 94 tops, and that's good. If I would believe in Tugboat more if he threw 94. And it's not because I think velocity is all that matters. It's just you have to have that certain threshold. Like Parker Messick gained velocity in 2024 and 2025 to get to 92, 94 and scraping 96. Whereas in college, he was like 88, 90, 93. And I'm like, well, that's fine as a fifth starter. But remember, Tugboat is 88. He was 87 last year at points, but 88, 90 will touch 91. It's every mile an hour the velocity goes up, you get more margin for error. Like I don't have the stats in front of me. I'll bring them back this week, but like fastball's 94 and above, that's a really low batting average. And then it goes up from there when the velocity goes down. There's a margin for error there. And maybe Tugboat has enough deception on his delivery because it is super unique. It really is weird, low. Even like it's very Parker Messick-esque. He doesn't have Parker's stuff, doesn't have the changeup, doesn't have the velocity, doesn't have the athleticism that Parker has. Parker had to develop some of that, I think, through reshaping his body as well. But, maybe it works. Maybe there's some things Tugboat can tighten up, gain a mile or two, and it could work. I think that the delivery is funky enough that he can make it. Maybe it's a reliever. He was pretty good as a reliever in the World Baseball Classic. He shut down Cal Raleigh and a couple other guys in that Team Canada lineup, or Team USA lineup. So maybe it'll work. All right, let's look at the Astros series before we get out of here in this episode real quickly. So the Astros, at least on Monday, are favored over the Guardians by 1.5 runs, which is strange considering how bad their starting pitching is. And it's so bad they haven't really announced their starting pitching for the series. It's Spencer Arrighetti and Slade Ciccone on Monday, which, I'm not really surprised that they're favored a little bit because, Ciccone's been a little bit touch and go so far, but it's projected to be Colton Gordon and Parker Messick on Tuesday. And on the matinee on Wednesday, it's Peter Lambert and Tanner Bibee. And this is why I went back to the first segment too, is, okay, you're looking at this series ahead and you're saying you have Messick and Bibee. Those are 2 games that you'll have a chance to win in if they pitch well. At least you feel good about Messick, right? And maybe Slade Ciccone will surprise us, but out of those 3 guys, I think you feel good that 2 of them are going to give you a chance to win. The offense for the Guardians, though, is going to have to show up in the series because the Astros offense is really good. Yordan Alvarez is back to his old tricks. The Astros are 3rd in baseball in WRC+. They are top 5 in home runs. They are top 3 in slugging. They are doing everything well offensively. They strike out a little bit, but they walk a ton. They hit the ball hard. This is a really good offense. Yeah, Yordan's great. Jose Altuve is having a nice year. They've, dug Taylor Trammell up from the depths again somehow. It seems to happen for a couple weeks every year at this point that he has like a random resurgence. Christian Walker has bounced back like Jeff and I expected. Cam Smith is starting to find his footing. Correa's been solid. Jeremy Pena is down a little bit, but he was off to a good start. And Isaac Paredes hasn't even gotten off to a good start. If he starts getting it going, watch out. So, Slade Ciccone might have a hard time against the Astros. Tanner Bibee might have a hard time. Parker Messick might. Parker Messick has not really had a clunker yet. Is he due for one? I don't want to put that onto the universe, but I'm just saying, like, the offense is going to have to step up because the Astros bullpen, the Astros rotation, it is abominable. It is a horror. I mean, they have a lot of injuries. They have Hunter Brown, Christian Javier, Tetsuya Mai are all hurt. Brian Abreu has not been good this year for them in the bullpen. Enio De Los Santos is like their best reliever this year, believe it or not. He's actually been really good. Josh Hader's still hurt for a while. Their rotation ERA coming into Monday ranks dead last in baseball at 6.34. If you want to go by FIP, it's 26 at 4.58 for comparison. The Guardians are 15th at 4, and their ERA as a rotation is 3.10 at 4th in the league. If you want to go by bullpen, The ERA for the Astros is 5.88, which is 29th in baseball. And if you go by FIP, it's last at 5.89. So they're pitching as bad as it says. The Guardians bullpen, of course, 19th at 4.26 FIP and 24th at 5.21 ERA. So the bullpen, not great. The Guardians offense has to show up. They have to take these pitchers when they're down. They got to keep hitting them, because as good as the starting pitching has been, there's going to be a time this year where the starting pitching, even we've been saying all the show, right, that, hey, these guys are going to give you a chance to win 2 out of 3 games, 3 out of 4, because they're good. And they're going to give you a chance to win those games when they pitch. Maybe it didn't happen in Atlanta, because guess what? Atlanta's a good offense. Houston's a good offense. So this might be a series where the offense has to show up and say, okay, the Astros pitching is not good. We should go out there. We should be aggressive. We should walk. We should hit the ball. We got to give the pitching a little bit of support, because they've carried us recently. I know the Guardians scored 8 runs on Sunday, but Parker Messick and Gavin Williams really carried the load in this series. And the pitching has been carrying the load. Starting pitching has been carrying the load all year. This might be a series where the Guardians offense has to come to life and figure things out, because it might be a high scoring series, or it might have to be for you to win it. So we'll see what happens. A couple other notes here as we finish the episode up. I know a lot of people want to see Daniel Espino up, guys. I want to be realistic. Daniel Espino is pitching every 3 days. He was fantastic again on Sunday. Slider was really good. He's throwing the slider a lot more now. He's still throwing 100 miles an hour. He's pitching every 3 days. A major league bullpen with 8 guys cannot have one of its relievers only available to pitch once every 3 days. They are just trying to get Daniel Espino up to 30 to 40 to 50 innings and see how he looks. Keep him healthy. Keep him looking this good. And then they'll have to figure out, is he a reliever? Can he go back-to-back days? Do we want to try to space him out every 5 days and make him a starter? They haven't made that decision yet. They're just trying to get him back looking like this, healthy, and it's working. So any call for Daniel Espino to pitch in the bullpen tomorrow or May or June, highly premature. I think we're talking end of August, honestly, if that continues. We'll see what the Guardians bullpen, the plans are with him, but got to hold back on that, guys. It's just not going to happen. Andrew Walters a little bit closer. He's still pitching every 3 days, but it's going to be he's going to tighten up his schedule here soon. I think he was really good on Saturday, really perfect. I think he'll be back to help the bullpen sooner than later, maybe before the end of the month. So that's the one thing you can turn your head to if you are looking for bullpen help. But again, the Guardians went out and purposely added Brogdon and Paulette, and they brought back Festa, and they brought in Colin Holderman and Cody Hoyer, because they need depth. They need bullets in the chamber here, as it were. I hate using that phrase, but in the bullpen, like Shawn Armstrong, you need those guys. And you can't sit there and say after 2 weeks, 3 weeks of play, well, the bullpen's not working. We got to turn and burn, turn guys. No, Shawn Armstrong has a track record. He's going to stay around. Peyton Paulette, you spent a Rule 5 pick on him. You got to keep him. He's looking good. We'll see what happens with Festa. Brogdon has had moments. Until the St. Louis series, he hadn't a lot of home run or a run at all. So he's going to he has no options. So he's going to continue to get opportunities, because you want to make sure you're getting to the summer with guys like Hoyer and Alama and Walters and maybe Espino on reserve to call up when you need them, because injuries happen and guys break down and you need fresh relievers. So like Tim Herron or somebody has to be optioned down, because you just don't have a fresh guy for that night. That's why Colby Allard was around and then DFA'd. You need options for the bullpen, for the year, for the long haul. So they're going to be patient with the bullpen, whether you like it or not. And that's the right call. I got to tell you, I'm sorry. It's the right call. And then when it becomes time to make those decisions, they'll make them, but it's not right now. All right. Appreciate you guys tuning in to Locked On Guardians. And again, subscribe. Make sure you check out the Everydayer Club, ad-free episode, members only Discord, all that good stuff. Head over to LockedOnGuardians.supercast.com to join in on the fun. We'll be back tomorrow to talk Guardians Astros. Game 1. We'll look ahead to game 2. The Miners are off, so maybe we'll dive a little bit heavier into the Miners as well. I know the Guardians are off Thursday. Maybe we'll do a mailbag that night. Who knows? But, I'm here in Orlando. Still talking Guardians baseball. We wish Jeff the best recovering in his health journey now. And we're still here for you every day talking Guardians baseball. And we appreciate you showing up every day to watch this team and watch and talk Guardians baseball with us. In the meantime, go Guardians, go. Let's hit the ball against the Astros, please. And no trash cans.